just so honored. I'm so honored to be here with my friend Martin Cowart, and wait until you hear from him. We are going to talk today about finding your zone of genius, which is what Martin helps people do. And I met him through a coaching program with Kelly Roach, and I'm so grateful because I feel like we're twin flames. I feel like we are in the universe bringing love and acceptance and compassion to everybody that we meet. And he just, the way that he speaks, I'm not going to talk too much because I want to introduce you to him and let him tell you his story. But we just spoke for about 20 minutes and he poured life into me, took some time out of his day to give. And I'm so very grateful for that, because you surround yourself with people that are like you, but also people that have knowledge that is outside of your wheelhouse, right? And when you take the time to fully embrace and feel with other people, that's when your consciousness shifts, that's when your energy shifts, and that's when you get to be in your zone of genius. So without further ado, Martin, I would love to introduce you and have you share a little bit about yourself and how this all came to be. How did you get into this space where you get to help people find their zone of genius?
Oh, wow. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here. Yes, I just had a blast with you for the last 20 minutes getting into our zone of genius. And yeah, it's once you understand what it is, in short, it is what Joe Dispenza calls the quantum field. It's what Jesus Christ called the kingdom of heaven. It is that unconditional love space that we exist in. It is the loving awareness of all things created. That's what it is. It's who we are. It's the universe. But that's really hard for our minds to come understand until we've gone through enough traumas in our life to get ourselves woken to the truth of who we are. And what I'd like to answer your question, I'll give you the three biggest wake ups for me. The first big wake up to my zone of genius was about 10 or 12 years ago when I joined AA in recovery. And that is, most people don't realize, is while it does help people get through recovery, it's really an addiction to ourselves and our need to protect ourselves.
Yes.
And in that particular recovery, in that particular incident, I woke up to a higher level of consciousness that I'm loved. Basically, I am loved. And then the next breakthrough happened when in 2017, when we elect Donald Trump president of the United States in 2016. At that point in time, I was a top producer with a wealth management firm with a beautiful office overlooking Park Avenue on from the 44th floor. I actually looked into Jamie Dimon's office across Park Avenue from my office. I was a big deal. And I was also a kind of a big deal in the gay community. I'd been a part of the human rights campaign and all those kinds of things. And I don't know why the sun's coming in.
It's like the light. The universe is coming in and filling up space, my friend.
The universe has got me on fire, I guess. I'm watching myself kind of turn white. I didn't do that. I don't have any special lights in there.
No special effects? Are you sure for this podcast? Oh my gosh.
So, make a long story short, there, after we elected him president, being a gay guy from the South, he triggered all my pain points, and I spiraled into the darkest night of my soul. Oh. And if anything knows about spiritual, we need to go through a dark night of the soul in order to wake up. You really wake up. So, in all of that, I was at the edge of. I was struggling. I was at the edge of bankruptcy, struggling with money. I always struggle with money. I was on the edge of bankruptcy. And I talked to my spiritual teacher, Teresa, and she said, well, one thing I don't think you should do is declare bankruptcy. It might make you feel a little better and it might relieve a little pain, but it's not going to solve the problem. If you want to solve this problem, you got to do the same thing you did 10 years ago. You got to surrender it to God. You got to let go of your control over money, because God knows I made a mess. And so I did. I knew what you talked about, and I just got on my hands and knees and said, God, I have made a mess of my money, my finances. I'm drowning in debt. I don't know how to get out of this. Help me. I'm surrendering. And I know you love me, so I know you'll give me this. I want to feel good again. And do you know, Christina, in an instant, my body was filled with this sense of grace and peace and love. And a voice deep within me said to me, Martin, none of this stuff matters that you worry about. It doesn't matter that you're a top producer in a big firm. It doesn't matter how much money you make. Nothing that you talk about matters. What matters is that you show up every single moment with love and gratitude, and I will do the rest. I wasn't quite sure, even though I've been a meditator for years, who I was. But that was my introduction to what I call now Joy the Wise Woman. That was a real moment of truth from the divine, reaching out her hand to me and saying, come in here, I got your back.
Right. Yes.
And that's when I went from being a wealth manager to being a coach, because as a coach, what I really was doing was taking my experience, instead of helping people devise external plans, I was helping them to let go of their emotional attachments to money so they could be free to make money. And that's the kind of coach I became.
Yeah.
And then the most recent breakthrough, the one that's so exciting for me and where I am today, happened just this December, when I finally let go of control of my company, of my coaching company that I started back in the first breakthrough. I met my current business partner, a guy named Albert Henry, who was a Ugandan. When I met him, he was a refugee. He's still a refugee, an asylum seeker, but at the time he was living in a camp in Kenya, in Kankama refugee camp in Kenya, one of about 1,000 of us, surrounded by about 500,000 very homophobic, some very hostile people who want to rape, kill, and torture us. And so, I make a long story short, the universe called me to Africa to help him, which I did. And when I met him, I will have to say that my soul came home. I met this African, I'm pretty white. I'm a white guy from the South. And I've always had a real thing for Black men, as we talked about on the show. And all of a sudden, I am in Africa, and it's like my soul came home when I meet this guy named Albert Henry Soul. And we became agape brothers in that minute. And he told me about his mission to create a sanctuary, a community, a sustainable community, an on-ground sustainable community where LGBT people could live, work, school, go to school, and plug into the internet commerce and make money and become financially independent. So at the end of, that's a long story to get to where I'm trying to go, but it makes sense in a second. But at the end of this year, we now have accumulated about, Alba came to work for me. By the end of this year, we've got about 20-something people out of the camp living in safe place. And I've got a team now of about 6 people working with me and Alba. And what I did at the end of the year, I really let go of the control. Like I let go of money, I let go of the control of the company. I said, Abba, I want to delegate all the responsibility in the team to you making this thing happen, because it's your business, it's your vision. I'm going to step back as the magician that I am, the coach, the universe, and let you run it. And I'm just going to hold you in loving presence and help you along the way and continue to guide you. I'm going to be there, but you're going to be running it. And do you know something? The minute I did that, I woke up to the truth. I am the universe, and so are you. And my mission now is to wake everybody up to being in that zone of genius, to be in that place of unconditional love energy. So you can drive through, I literally drive through life today. And I want you to drive, and you do too, by the way. We talk about this. We are driving through life, sitting at the seat of consciousness.
Yes.
Literally,
yes, we are.
Sitting at the seat of consciousness without judgment. It's a judgment-free zone. It's a fear-free zone. There's no fear. There's nothing to be afraid of, because you're the universe. You're holding everything in loving awareness. And that is what guides us now into doing, got us here today. We
Yes.
listened. We were sitting in space of loving awareness, and we felt some energy force that pulled us together. And here we are today. As this movement to continue to wake people up to the truth of who we are, so that we can all move forward and create a world out of love and compassion that everyone can enjoy.
Oh my gosh, I have goosebumps everywhere, first of all. And that means that something is connecting, right? Whenever I get goosebumps, I'm like, it is a sign. The universe is so happy that we're connecting. So 2 things. I want to talk a little bit about fear, but I'm going to tell you a really quick story of how I had a realization of the world and I haven't shared this story online. I haven't shared this story at all. It's just a story that it was my true wake up call and my realization. So probably 12 years ago now, I was meeting with a spiritual teacher, and I just said, I've been going through these things in my life and I'm just not quite sure what the next step is. This is how I feel. And he's like, I have a friend that you need to meet. Her name is Leah. I said, he's like, make an appointment with her and go meet her. What I didn't know is that his friend Leah was like a majestic shaman who had practiced in Peru. And she actually held tea ceremonies. So she held ayahuasca tea ceremonies. Now, this idea scared the pants off of me. Okay. This idea scared the pants of like opening up the world to everything, opening up myself to everything, to fear, to energy, to everything. And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't think I can do this. And so we had a couple of meetings, and then I decided that this is something that I was going to do. I was going to go to this tea ceremony. And in the ceremony, the time that I spent with myself was out of body. My body was there, but I was part of the universe. And the only overwhelming feeling that I had was love and compassion for all. That was it. Everything else was silence. There was nothing else. It was just love and compassion for all. That's all the universe is. That's all we are as human beings. Our personalities are just plopped on top. Our bodies plopped on top. But the feeling of love and compassion for all of a sudden I came home. I knew that that's what I was supposed to be. I knew that's who I was at my core. I knew that I could see it in everybody else. And that shifted, that experience, however you get to that truth, that experience was what woke me up to being who I am today, and to how I help people and how I see them for who they are, not for who I want them to be, but for who they are. So in that process, I think we all have that moment where we wake up, whether it is AA, whether it's an experience like that with a shaman, whether it is some sort of form of counseling that we've faced our fears and had less judgment. But that's something that I would love to talk about, because we just spent 20 minutes before we got together. I came to you with an issue that I was having, because I was bullied in high school. I was bullied, when I left a company a few years
ago. We'll get to that, but I want to ask you this. 1 second. What you just shared is huge. You just shared with me your story of awakening. I loved it. I want you just to take a pause and feel what that feels like to be awake. Yeah. Feel that feeling of being awake. That feeling of just loving kindness for everything. That's what awake is. That's what the zone of genius is.
I love it.
So I just wanted to take a pause there for you to just feel and recognize that, to allow yourself to go a little more deeper into it with me, because I love that. I love that. Thank you so much. That was just beautiful. Now you can ask me your question.
Because it all ties into it, right? Because our personality is plopped on top of it. And so in our core, we have that, but then there's also all of these other elements that come in from around us, all of these other distractions, all these things that are not ours to own. So we talked a little bit about that, and I would love for you to share, how you walked me through that, because I came to you and I said, I realized that this is a lesson that I need to learn in my lifetime to be able to help people through bullying. You can't teach from an open wound. You can only teach from a scar that's healed. Right.
I love that. And that's exactly what we went through, is the fact that let's just call it racism. It's just an easier way to,
sure.
Let's call it racism. We can't help we can't help anyone else heal their racism until we heal our own racism.
Got it.
Because
yes,
everything is a projection. I would say 99% of what we say is what we project. Is a projection. It's all love. It's all energy, frequency, vibration. So if we're coming from a place of fear, we are seeing the world from a place of fear. If we're seeing it from love, we're seeing the world from a place of love. And that's what we are in our zone of genius. So what we're talking about is, I said, I'm going to make fear your friend. I'm going to make you be grateful for fear, because this is the role of shadow. And I know something, if you got a shadow, you got to have a light somewhere, right? And yes, we are that light. And what the universe is putting up in front of us, or what we're creating in front of us, is some kind of block, some type of negative energy. It could be a release of an old repressed negative energy when we were bullied as a child ourselves, but it's trying to get released. And it feels like fear, like all of a sudden you feel this tinge of fear that something bad or painful is about to happen. So it's just telling us to stop as a human being and pay attention. Because it could be you're about to cross the street and you need to be careful. You don't want to kill yourself. Or it could be simply a thought, a negative feeling we've held depressed inside our bodies from a past trauma that's come to surface around this issue.
Right.
And it needs to be healed. It needs to be released. So what I was saying is that, okay, what do we do? What do we actually do when that fear comes up? Well, we listen, we feel it, pay attention to it. It's a feeling.
We sit in it. You hear that? You sit in it, right?
Or we first judge it. We first say, oh, damn, I don't want to feel that way right now. That feels like sadness, or that feels like anger, or that feels like shame, or that feels like fear. And I don't want to feel fear right now, damn it. We start by judging it, right?
Yeah.
We all do that. And then we say, oh, wait a minute. Something got to learn. Judgment is always coming from fear itself. It's always coming from shadow. That's its nature. It's that, and we know what shadow is. It's that voice in our head that's always attacking us and making us feel bad that we're not good enough, smart enough, blah, 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 blah. It's incessant. It's insane. And the crazy thing about that is it just creates more confusion and we begin to believe it.
Yeah.
So we've got to get out of it. We got to transmute that fear into love, and that's how we create form. Otherwise, it would be just light going out in the middle of nowhere. But as human beings with the power to create form, money, wealth, new businesses, new ideas, all that we're doing, we need to hit that dark energy in order to feel it and feel it through it. Remember we talked about, you said you began to feel through something. All of a sudden, something opened up.
Relief.
This relief, this new sense of peace and understanding that surpasses all understanding. You're not worried about anything. You're just in this place of loving kindness. And that's the beauty. I've never done ayahuasca. It's on my list. It just never has presented itself. Yeah, I'll definitely do it. I'm a big believer in
You should. I think everybody in this world should do it at least once. And it's not a recreational drug. Let me tell you that.
It is not a recreational drug. It is not a recreational drug. It's entertaining, that's for sure. From everything I know, a lot of people who've done it, but it's not a recreational drug for sure.
No.
So, but what that does, and maybe you should describe a little bit more of that if you'd like to, but is really it sort of like bypasses all that work you're doing. Just okay, you're here.
All the gunk.
This is what's going. And by the way, when I had that experience back years ago when I was working for the bank, I was walking down Park Avenue one day, and all of a sudden I began to see the world like I was taking LSD. And I know LSD. I'm no hippie. I did plenty of LSD in college, and so I know exactly what it feels like. But this was 2:00 in the afternoon, and I had not taken any LSD. But that is what I was seeing. I was seeing space more vividly as the connected objects.
Yes.
Oh and my gosh! Like, wow. And I was like, oh wow, this is what's going on. This is so wild.
Isn't that interesting when you start to see, and like you see different parallels? Like I say often now living in Mexico, there's a different energy here. There's a different parallel. There's something different that's happening here. And that's exactly what it is that you realize time and space is irrelevant. It really is. We have a very short lifespan, but time and space is irrelevant. And it really opens up that connection to nature, that connection to grounding, that connection to energy. And it was so interesting after that experience we had, my husband came with me because he's like, there's no way you're going to grow without me. So he's like, right. So he's like, I'm doing this thing too with you or without, like we're doing it together. And so I remember going out and sitting on the lawn after the evening and sitting on the lawn. And I just sat in quiet. And like everything, just like you said, I haven't done LSD, but everything was brighter. Everything, I could hear the bees buzzing. I could smell the flowers. And I'm just sitting there peacefully. And a deer literally like walks right in front of me and I don't even move. And I'm just like, that never would have happened had I not had this energy about me, had this not shifted my consciousness into realizing, all this stuff happens out there, all these distractions. We are only capable of responding for us, not for anybody else, for us. And to navigate that in a world where judgment is cast on you, with social media, with everybody having an opinion, it's something that we were probably not meant to ever experience, right? Like as human beings, we probably weren't meant to experience all of these other things. But the clarity that I found through doing that, it changed who I was. It changed who my husband was. And that's why I think you definitely have to go through that process, knowing who you are. And so the fear is so interesting to me because it's the piece of what points us in the right direction, right? It's that little, hey, this is something you need to examine, right? In you, this is something that you need to examine.
Yeah, stop it. And examine means stop and feel it. That's how I examine. If you stop and you feel it, really feel it, and stop judging. Remember something, you can't love and judge at the same time. They're two different energies. The shadow is always judging, criticizing, and making you feel bad. The heart, the universe, is always loving and creating. So what that's happening is you're coming to a point in your a moment in time where you've got to choose. What do I want to do here? Do I want to use this wonderful opportunity to transmute this fear, this feeling I don't want to feel right now, but I'm going to feel it anyway? Because I know if I feel it with all of my heart and all of my soul, that I can transmute this fear into love. And that's how we're going to create something wonderful in the future.
Yeah. Yeah, that is such a beautiful thing. And so can you just walk me through who are the people that you're working with and how are you helping with them?
I largely work with Africans. And I'll tell you why. Because they're the ones who keep showing up for my programs. You know, I didn't start out as a coach. I started out looking for rich CEOs and executives who could afford my prices. You know, $2,500 a month, $2,500 a month for coaching.
Sure.
And what I got was the person that showed up was a Ugandan African man living in the middle of a camp with no money, begging for $50.
You're like, wait a second, universe, we're not in alignment on this.
Wait a minute. And the universe was telling me something, and it said, and my husband's like, you're going to take, I went and met him to deliver a cell phone and a laptop. And we stayed in a hotel in Nairobi. It was the best thing I've ever did. My husband like, you're going to go and you need a client. You don't have any money. You're going to go to Nairobi and deliver a cell phone to a man in a desert who has no money. I said, yep. But that's what the universe is calling me to do. Mm-hmm. When you say yes to the universe and no to that rational thinking mind, like you did it when you moved to Mexico.
That's right.
People would say, "Oh, you can't do that." Well, I'm doing it. That's
I live here.
The universe wants me to go, and I'm going. I'm going there. And look what you've done. Look what it opened up. Mm-hmm. And that's what we're talking about. The fear is coming up to say no.
Yeah.
The fear is coming up, say, don't you can't afford to go to Nairobi. You can't afford to go to Mexico. How are you going? That's all the ego thinking mind out of fear, projecting the past into your future. Let it go. Feel the fear. That fear doesn't scare me. I love that fear. You're pointing me to the truth. So I'm going to feel it. I'm going to find it. I'm going to connect with it, and I'm going to enjoy it.
Oh, you taught me how to do that today. You taught me how to do that in 20 minutes today.
Well, that's my mantra. I do it all the time. And I got it from Joe. I learned it from Joe Dispenza. I mean, I got all kind of, he's my latest influencer. And I think about Joe Dispenza. A few years ago, I'm like, who is that quack?
I remember actually thinking that, by the way. I remember like, who is this guy that's moving life with his mind? Like, this is so big, like this kind of crazy, right? And then I started digging into his teachings, and then he started popping up everywhere. And then I started hearing the healing stories and the healing journeys of what people have done in prayer and intention. And I was like, there is more to this situation. There's way more to this. And, like, I'm so grateful that you have him as somebody that is kind of a North Star, because he's somebody that can help kind of, like you said, transmute this energy into something new and exciting and into a different level. Right.
Yeah. What really is, what shifted it was when someone who came on my show, my podcast one time, and explained what he was about, what the quantum field was. And I said, that's the same thing Jesus taught. That's the same thing as the kingdom of heaven. Jesus was teaching the same thing. He just they just didn't know what energy was. They just called it spirit.
That's
and
right.
I thought,
and that's what
now I know. But so I went and tried to listen. And even then I could not. His way he talked got on my nerves. And so, but just after I had this last wake up, all of a sudden it came across my YouTube was this his latest guided meditation for 2023. Oh my God. I put that on with some headphones. I smoked a little 420, a little weed.
I love you. I love you.
I smoked a little weed. I put on those headphones, lit some candles, put on some incense, and I went there. And man, did he wait. It was like hearing from the universe itself.
Wow.
And I was ready. I was ready. I wasn't
Yes.
ready until now.
Yeah.
So, and that's something I want you to tell your listeners. You might hearing us talking about certain people, and you may not be ready for them right now. But you know what? If you just be still and listen, the right teacher will show up. It might be one of us. Who knows? Maybe that's why we're here. So if something resonates with what I'm saying or resonates with what Christina's saying, we both attract different people to us because we're different energies. We're on the same path. We're doing the same thing. And there's no competition, because I'll tell you, when you're in this space of the zone of genius, you want to wake up everybody. And so we are friends inside the zone of genius who are like, I need your help, you need my help. And we're here to love and support each other in this movement to wake people up, because we know how much better the world would be if we got everyone driving through life from the seat of loving awareness. Can you imagine if everybody in life, everybody, those people you don't like, those people you hate, those people you project all your shit on, what if they were driving through life from their zone of genius? That's the point. That's the message we want to give. That's what we're doing. And she has her way and I have my way. And we want to help you get into your zone of genius, because we need more of us here.
Yes, we need more of this energy. And can I, just before I let you go, because this was so important, I realized when we were speaking, often we feel fear, we recognize it. And even those that have done the work, they can compartmentalize it and just say, okay, my conscious brain is telling me to disperse. My conscious brain is telling me to move forward, move forward, move forward. And we just bury that fear and move forward anyways, without actually like sitting and feeling it. And you held space for me to feel that fear, feel it. And what did it mean? What was it? Was it a self-reflection? Was it something I needed to learn? Was it something that I needed to process from a past trauma? But within minutes, because I took the time to sit in it and not brush over it, the next time we sat and took a couple of breaths, I said, I feel relieved. That feeling in my stomach, that pit in my stomach is starting to let go and loosen. And that, I think most people don't take the time to investigate that because it's scary. And sometimes they need somebody to guide them. And I just got to thank you so much for doing that for me, because it means so much to me. And I'm just very grateful.
Thank you. And I'll finish off with one final comment about where we are in the evolution of humanity, of humankind.
Please.
You and I have evolved more in our lifetime than all of humanity up until now, because of the internet and AI and all of this. Sure. I mean, have you ever noticed that I turn on Spotify or YouTube and exactly what I need to see is right there?
Yep.
That's energy. That's the universe showing up. The universe created this technology for us to communicate. And it's got some shadow sides and some light sides. And we're learning from those challenges. But this is what I want people to realize. Because we're evolving so quickly, give yourself some time to process throughout the day. Give yourself a sound baths are my favorite way to do that. Just stop in the middle of the day. When things start feeling like a task, everything we do should be done with a place of love and grace. And when we move out of doing something with love and grace, we're moving into our ego mind. We've turned it into a task that we believe we need to get accomplished in order to get somewhere. That's the first signal that you're actually coming out of your zone of genius. And you're going to get so much more done if you get back into your zone of genius. So what I do is I will stop and maybe go take a nap. I will stop and go take a 30-minute or an hour sound bath, or I'll listen to a Joe Dispenza guided meditation, something to get me out of my mind, give me a chance to rest and process and come back into the zone of genius. And when I do that, I find that whatever I do after that is infinitely more productive and real and fun. And fun. It's more fun. I'm not pushing to get through something. I'm actually having fun again.
Oh, you are such a gift. That is such a gift. That one nugget is such a gift for people to have permission to recover, permission to process, permission to rest. So thank you, Martin, for being here today. I cannot wait to have another conversation with you. I know I'm going to hop on one of your meetings, and I can't wait to give my heart to all your audience. But thank you so much for being here. You were just a gem, and I'm so grateful for you.
It's been my absolute delight, and I love you so much, Christina.
I love you too. Thank you. Bye for now.
If you think this video can help a friend, make sure you share it.